Welcome to Stat Masters. I'm your host, Evan Ringler. Every week on this show, I bring you quick-hitting statistical takeaways to give you an edge in your fantasy leagues. All the player stats that I mention on this show can be found at PlayerProfiler.com. You can also tap into a variety of rankings that I'm involved in, including weekly, seasonal, dynasty, and more. Let's get it started with Zach Charbonnet. Among 37 running backs with 90-plus carries, Charbonnet ranks first in juke rate and fourth in yards created per rush. The only other running back to rank top 5 in both metrics is Bucky Irving. When we expand this qualification to top 10 in both metrics, we also see Tank Bigsby and Josh Jacobs. However, Charbonnet has been unable to create explosive runs, ranking 31st in breakaway run rate and 24th in rushing EPX. This is primarily due to horrible run blocking, as the two Seahawks running backs rank last and second to last in run blocking rating. Another reason could be a general lack of explosiveness inherent to Charbonnet, but it's not fair to make that statement unless we see him in a better situation. After all, he was very efficient in college and had solid testing at the combine. Hopefully the Seahawks can one day build a strong offensive line. Next up, the Packers play volume. Every week, I project pace and pass rate for every team, both weekly and rest of season. This week, I ranked Green Bay 28th in pass rate and 26th in pace. Why is this? Well, in Jordan Love's first 5 games of the season, the Packers had a neutral dropback rate over expected, which is actually above average because the league has gone more run-heavy this season. However, over the last 6 Jordan Love games, Green Bay's dropback rate is 9% below expectation, bottom 3 in the NFL. This matches Josh Jacobs' production. In the first half of the season, Jacobs was never a top 5 weekly running back. In the second half of the year, he has been a top 5 running back in 5 of 6 games. From a pace perspective, we see a similar trend. Green Bay has gone from an average pace to one of the slowest teams in the league over the last 6 games, according to plays per minute over expected from Fantasy Life. This is why the Packers wide receivers have disappointed over the last 6 games, and we should not expect it to change. Now let's look at the Dolphins' offense. Since Tua returned in Week 8, the Miami offense ranks first in EPA per dropback, but 31st in EPA per rush. Mike McDaniel has clearly noticed this, as the Dolphins are now one of the pass-heaviest teams in the league relative to expectation. Tua also is a low scramble rate, low sack rate quarterback, meaning that his dropbacks turn into pass attempts at a very high rate. Miami is once again a great situation for pass catchers in general, even if the targets are spread around more than we'd like. The only drawback is that, ironically, the Dolphins have an incredibly slow pace of play. Now let's look at the Eagles' pass volume. The Eagles have had a positive dropback rate over expected in just 1 game this season, which came back in Week 3. Overall, they rank 32nd in raw dropback rate and 31st in dropback rate over expected. I also track sack rate and scramble rate throughout the season. Currently, Jalen Hurts ranks 6th in sack plus scramble rate. In other words, only 5 quarterbacks turn dropbacks into pass attempts at a lower rate than Jalen Hurts. These factors compound into by far the run-heaviest team in football, with 40 less pass attempts than any other team. This is the only reason why A.J. Brown isn't producing, with just 1 game over 16 fantasy points out of his last 7 games. He still ranks 2nd in target share and 2nd in air yard share over the whole season. While I hope a squeaky wheel game is imminent, A.J. is reliant on big plays to produce at this point. Now let's go to a quick word from the Podfather.
Oh, incredible news about Fast Draft. Fast Draft DFS is live. It's called the Flex 6 Frenzy. You just draft 6 guys, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends for the Sunday slate. You like Jahmyr Gibbs? You like Jackson Smith and Jigba? You like Tyrone Tracy? Draft him, draft him, draft him. And the beauty is you can just order 5 teams, submit your rankings, and Fast Draft will email you the results. We awarded $1,000 in prizes our first week, and we're just going up from there. Soon there's going to be a select 6. No drafting at all. You just pick any 6 guys. Our DFS mantra, just say no to salaries on Fast Draft. Don't forget there's free tools on Fast Draft too. You want to get ready for startup season? We've created the best Dynasty mock draft experience there is. And if you want to play in these DFS contests and our best ball contest for 2025 coming very soon too, just use promo code PODFATHER when you deposit and you get a free draft. It's that easy. And you're like, oh, I already have Fast Draft. Great. Refer a friend. Have them put your username in as the promo code, and then you and your friend will both get an instant deposit match up to $25. We got DFS. We got Dynasty Mocks. We got Best Ball. It's all there for you on fastdraft.app. Check it out. And the promo code is PODFATHER.
Go check out Fast Draft today. DFS contests are live right now, and there are more exciting contests right around the corner. It will also be the best place to prepare for your Dynasty rookie drafts. You can use code EVAN for a 100% deposit match up to $25. Next up, Nick Chubb. It was fair to expect a significant decline in efficiency for Chubb as he returned from a total reconstruction of his knee. But Chubb hasn't been just average or below average. He's been one of the least efficient running backs in every metric. Among 37 running backs with 90-plus carries, Chubb ranks 35th in breakaway run rate, 36th in EPX, 37th in juke rate, 37th in true yards per carry, 36th in yards created per rush, and 37th in yards per carry over expected. There is one solid excuse for Chubb, however, as he also ranks 35th out of 37 in run blocking rating. But we would hope to see at least a small glimmer of hope in the efficiency metrics, like we saw with Charbonnet earlier. At this point, the most likely outcome is that Nick Chubb is simply cooked. Now let's look at the Broncos running backs. Over the last 4 games, the Broncos have had 3 different players lead the team in carries. Javonte, Estime, and McLaughlin all have a carry share between 24 and 28% over this 4-game span. While Javonte is the clear passing down back, he still has just a 33% route participation since Week 10. There is no running back in Denver worth starting right now, except in the most desperate situations possible. Sean Payton is the devil of fantasy usage. You might be tempted to start McLaughlin after he saw 14 carries and 2 targets last week, but it's not worth the inevitable pain of Payton completely changing the usage for no good reason. Let's move to Isaiah Pacheco. Last week, Pacheco led the Chiefs running backs in carries, routes, and targets. I predict that Pacheco will return to his full workload this week. If he does, there is plenty of fantasy production to be had, as Kareem Hunt averaged over 18 expected points per game without Pacheco this season. Week 17 in particular is a potential smash spot for Pacheco, as the Steelers have been a run funnel recently. Next up, the Rams wide receivers. Even after Kupp put up a 0 last night, we should continue to trust him in our weekly lineups. But he is clearly not the alpha in Los Angeles anymore. Among 95 wide receivers with 200-plus routes this year, Puka and Kupp rank first and second in target rate, although Puka has a huge lead. Both also rank in the top 5 of expected points per game, so do not panic on Cooper Kupp. Why has Puka surpassed Kupp this year? Well, Puka is much better versus man coverage and better at working downfield. Nakua dominates Kupp in target rate versus man and also has a significantly higher depth of target. Kupp is on the decline for sure, but he still has great metrics from a target earning perspective. Puka, on the other hand, is a do-it-all top 5 wide receiver in Dynasty. Let's look at the wide receivers who earn targets at an elite level versus both man and zone coverage. Among 95 wide receivers with 200-plus routes, the only players to have a target rate versus man and zone coverage above 30% are Puka and Josh Downs. If we lower these qualifications to 28%, we also see Kupp and Neighbors. If we go down again to 26%, we see Garrett Wilson, Drake London, and Amari Cooper. These are the most well-rounded target earners of 2024. My boy Josh Downs stands out of this group. He also ranks second in route win rate, 8th versus man coverage, and 1st versus zone coverage. Downs will be a superstar slot wide receiver as long as Richardson can get him the football. Now let's take another look at Marvin Harrison Jr. Among 48 wide receivers with 300-plus routes, Marv ranks 5th in air yard share, 23rd in target share, 21st in target rate, and 27th in yards per route run. While not amazing by any means, these are solid base-level metrics for Marv in his rookie campaign. He also ranks 22nd in expected points per game and 24th in raw points per game. What is causing his disappointing production? The answer is usage and situation. He ranks 39th in slot rate, 42nd in target accuracy, 35th in target quality, 8th in unrealized air yards, 44th in yards after the catch per reception, and he also ranks 1st in target rate versus man coverage, but just 42nd in target rate versus zone coverage. This year, the Cardinals have used Harrison in a traditional X wide receiver role. His targets come on downfield sideline throws, which have a very low chance of completion. This is not a recipe for success for the overwhelming majority of wide receivers. While Marv does have a massive catch radius, he is more of a pure route runner than a ball winner. I still see him as a good young player that's being used incorrectly. Lastly, Sam Laporta. Over his last 6 games, Laporta is averaging a 20% target share and 23% air yard share. The only tight ends to match those numbers across the full season are Trey McBride and Travis Kelce. This is what elite usage looks like at the tight end position. The only issue is that Detroit ranks 27th in projected pass attempts, which makes Laporta's production more volatile. Overall, Laporta is once again a weekly top 12 tight end. This week against the Bills should be a great game environment with the highest points total of any game this season. Thanks for joining me this week on StatMasters, and I'll see you again next week for more quick-hitting statistical takeaways.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.